A dark power has surfaced near Downwarren. It feeds on hatred and disdain.
Naught can stop me, not even death. I am devoured only to be born anew.
Once I was flesh, I shall be flesh once more.
In The Witcher, there are some beings that have been around for centuries, or millennia even, slowly growing their power over time. She Who Knows was such a being, as she was already alive long before the conjunction of the spheres ever happened. Where she came from, or how she was created, is not known. Her origin is shrouded in mystery, and even the most exaggerated legends get nowhere near as close to guess her true age. As the name implies, She Who Knows was driven by a search for knowledge. She wandered the continent, trying to learn everything she could, and over the course of many centuries she did, until there was nothing left for her to learn. But as time went on, she started to feel unfulfilled, as if something was missing from her life. It was around this point in time when the conjunction of the spheres happened. Magic, monsters and sentient beings came from different worlds, and ended up on the continent. Out of curiosity, She Who Knows looked around at all the beings that had come to this new world, but she still had not encountered any being that looked like her. This all made her feel very lonely, as she realized that her search for enlightenment might have actually been a search for companionship. And so, She Who Knows decided to do something about this, and with the use of clay, made out of mud and her own blood, she sculpted 3 creatures, and as you might have guessed, these 3 became the Crones. They were her daughters, created in her image, and meant to be her companions and to carry on her legacy. The mother and her Crones settled down in the land we know as Velen, where they would be treated as gods. They had established a decently well thought out system, where the 3 daughters would set out and listen to people's wishes, and report back to their mother. She would then give information or magical aid to whoever had made a sacrifice to her. And the people of Velen definitely noticed that she had some power, as when a sacrifice was made, aid would come to help the peasants. Over the years, the Crones would increase the fame of the Lady of the Woods, spreading the word of her powers and abilities throughout all of Velen. She Who Knows seems to somewhat enjoy being worshipped, and so the Crones went one step further and created an annual day of celebration in her name, which we know as the Crones' Sabbath. All seemed well in Velen, well, at least for their standard, but things would soon get worse. The mother, She Who Knows, while she was somewhat enjoying being seen as a goddess, she was not happy and content. In her pursuit of purpose, she had not found anything that she truly seemed content with, and as a result of this millennia-long search, almost seeming to be for naught, she slowly became mad. As she went insane, she almost took all of Velen down with her. Mania and madness spread across the land. Peasants went insane, and the land was on the verge of ruin, all because of her powers, and of the influence she had over the land. Across the land, peasants would leave their homes and march out into the swamps, only to be killed by beasts, all due to the influence of the Lady of the Woods. The Crones saw what was happening to their mother, and they saw how she became mad and was destroying their land. They decided that something had to be done. Their mother had to be stopped. And so, during the Sabbath, the feast of celebration of their mother, the Crones killed her as they tried to save the land from her madness. Her blood was spilled on Artserbin, Bald Mountain, and would seep into the roots of the large oak. As a result, the tree would grow large and healthy fruit for the peasants in Velen. Her body would be disposed of by the sisters in the swamps and bogs of Velen, marked by a small gravestone. However, her soul refused to leave the land, which meant that the Crones had to keep it imprisoned somewhere, to prevent her from returning and causing more harm to the land. And so they bound her spirit to an old oak, where she would be trapped forever. Her spirit would now wander through the roots and branches of the tree, confined and not able to roam freely. But from this imprisoned state, the Whispering Hillock was not completely harmless. She was able to in some capacity protect herself due to her control over nearby beasts and the tree she inhabited. This made it so that the Crones were not able to completely finish her off. It was from this resting place where she would cause many problems for the nearby town of Downwarren. The ghost in the tree would eventually be confronted by Geralt of Rivia, who could decide her fate, to kill her or to free her. Killing her would put an end to her, for good, an end to all the madness she had brought to Velen. The spirit will, during this conversation, do anything in its power to try and convince Geralt that she is good, and only trying to protect herself, saying how she was a druid, acting like a human, which she obviously wasn't, and talking to him about how she would go on to save the children if he sets her free. However, this seems to be all an act. She is not human. When Geralt visits her grave, he even says so.
Strange bones. Don't seem human to me.
And she doesn't care about the children. How do we know? Well, if you free her before doing the Ladies of the Woods quest, the children will not be saved. She only saves them if you do the quest at the time when you're supposed to do, and confront the spirit. She won't save the children out of the kindness of her heart, only because she wants to convince Geralt to release her. And releasing her does have consequences. She would go out and massacre the village of Downwarren for helping the Crones, and roam freely in the form of a black possessed horse across Velen. She can later be seen near the swamps east of the orphanage in Crookback Bog, but what happens to her after the games? According to the legends and stories from Velen, it is said that whoever sees a black horse with red eyes would go mad. They would start killing the ones they love, and would be unable to sate their bloodlust. However, it is also said that this demonic horse does not seek out people. She remains hidden in the swamps, and anyone who goes out to search for her must already be mad to start with. When it comes to information on a being known as She Who Knows, or the Mother of Crones, we have to keep in mind any biases that the origin of the information might have had. For example, in the book She Who Knows, which talks about the events that led up to the death of the ghost in a tree, this book could possibly have been biased towards the Crones, painting them in a more positive light than they might be or maybe should have been. It could very well have been possible that the Crones actually became obsessed with power, and decided to overthrow their mother for more selfish reasons, rather than to save the people of Velen. Therefore, the choice whether or not to save the spirit in the tree is one of those typical Witcher choices where there's no good answer. People will die, whether it's a few children or an entire village. But one thing I do want to mention is that it is actually possible to free the spirit and save the Baron and his wife. If you set the spirit free before doing the Ladies of the Woods quest, and you do not make the Crones angry when you meet them, you should get the ending where the Baron goes to the Blue Mountains to bring his wife to the healer. However, in this option, the children are not saved. And of course the town of Downwarren is killed, which will kind of happen in both choices as the witch hunters will otherwise hang a number of the town's residents. She Who Knows was a unique being, one that would make you wonder what kinds of special and unique monsters one could find on the continent, hidden in their own little stretch of land, where they have complete control. But what do you think of She Who Knows? Should you free the spirit or not? And who is worse, the mother or the daughters? Till the next video.